Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. Ische, Stongo, Gary Fife, Jahu Jeff Gedos, Mvskoke Radio, Mabu Heji the Wedgekis. Welcome to our program here on 1240 The Brew in beautiful downtown, actually sunny Okmulgee today. We've got a couple things we'll be sharing with you. Even though we're getting a bit of summer weather here today in Okmulgee, it's still winter. And we're looking ahead toward things in summer and a couple of things. First of all, the Summer Youth program staff are here to talk about their recruitment, how they've been doing, and how young people have been connecting with employment with the Mvskoke Creek Nation. And then in our second portion, we'll be speaking with Charley Harley from the Bureau of Indian Affairs firefighting team about the season we're having and some tips about how not to burn down your field and your home during this weather, and some community news and announcements. So stay with us here. Let's just get right into it. First of all, we'd like to welcome Victoria Ross and Jacina McBee from the Summer Youth Program. Welcome. We appreciate you making time to come down today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, for listeners who are not familiar with it, what's the formal title of your program and what's it all about?
The Mvskoke Creek Nation Summer Youth Program, it's about our youth coming into the work field and getting the experience during the summertime while they are out of school. The eligibility criteria is that they do have to be an enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe. They do have to abide by the income guidelines and also reside within the boundaries. And they do have to be at least the age of 16 before the program starts, and they can't be over 21 as well, or 22 as well, I'm sorry. And of course, what our program consists of is our youth coming in, getting the experience, and working within a field that they would like to pursue as a career when they get older. They also get to experience how the work field really is, learn discipline, and also get to get out of the house during the summer as well. So that's a big thing too. There's also other I'm getting with other programs so we can have a lot of life skills classes during this time, and they can train with information that they do need to have before they become an adult, or if there's any other information that we can get out to them. So it's a program that not only enriches them, it also helps them in the long run as well.
It sort of breaks the ice for them in learning what the world of employment's all about, and puts a few bucks in their pockets, I would presume.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And of course, if they are college students, they do get paid more. So it is minimum wage when they start, the $7.25, and then it goes up to $8.35 if they are currently enrolled in the spring of 2017.
Right. Now, this is a sanctioned program from the Mvskoke Creek Nation, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned the eligibility requirements. Is there a Mvskoke preference there? You mentioned any federally recognized tribes.
Yeah, we do want our Mvskoke Creek citizens to take advantage of this program, but also for our citizens who are not Creek to come in and apply. Even if they are over income, we do want them to apply because usually we do have some room with the program to get them in to work. So it's not only limited to our Mvskoke Creek Nation citizens, but also our other tribes within our jurisdiction.
Something to add there?
What I had to talk about was a 2017 College Work Experience Program. We'll be taking applications January 16th to March 31st. What it is, it's an internship program for college juniors, seniors, and graduate students. Eligibility for that is be Mvskoke Creek citizen. Of course, you have to be a college junior, senior, or graduate student in the spring semester prior to when you're applying. And live within the Mvskoke Creek Nation boundaries. And what that is if they're going to college for whatever degree they're taking up, they have to get their internship, or their work site has to pertain to their degree.
Now, when students become employed, what kinds of tasks are they involved with, and is there a particular area that attracts more of these young people than others? Have you kind of broken that down at all?
Well, for the internship program, a lot of them seem to come through with a business major or health. So we try to make sure that they're interning at a site where they can gain that experience. We've had success stories. One, his was education, and he was actually hired on with the Okmulgee High School. So we, as far as if they're getting ready to graduate, we do try to work with their work sites to see if there's any room for them to be hired.
Do you actually sort of counsel them when they apply, saying, well, what are you interested in, first of all, as a career, and what sort of job would you like here with the tribe, with the same area, or do you want to do something completely different? How does that work?
We try to get them to stick with their interests. We do require that they have a career assessment. Very seldom that we have them do the career assessment and it doesn't match up with what they're taking up in school. Most of the time it does match up with it, and we're able to have them go to the work site. Like I said, if it's education, then they're at a school, or they could be there on the complex. It's just a broad range.
So if you want to be an educator, and you have to go back to school, then
Yeah.
Not me. What about kids that just want to get outside for the summer, like lawn maintenance or things like that? Do you get a lot of interest? People just want the job and the money for a while.
I know Summer Youth, it's an experience to be on the program, but we do have a lot of repeats who want to do the general maintenance with their school, or pretty much anywhere that is available just for a summer job. But we try to, we don't try, we tell them, what do you want to do when you get older? What do you want to pursue as a career? And then we also ask them, do you know what a career is, or if you want to go to college as well? So there's a lot of different things we do ask each participant what they're wanting to do in the long run. So a lot of times they might want to pursue maintenance because it is a career as well. Yeah,
and some of those jobs can pay pretty well, and you can deal. I read once in a Shoe cartoon strip decades ago that you guys remember that one? No, these kids don't. Anyway, it was a cartoon strip about a couple of birds talking, and they were in a newspaper. And they were talking, one says, a career is a job that's just lasted too long. And said, okay, well, I'd never thought about it that way, but come to think of it, he's right. Do we have challenges that the young people are finding when they come back? Do they actually give you feedback about how things are going? And so I didn't know the job was going to be that hard or that complicated, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we do have a lot of feedback. There is some of our youth that have a hard time just getting in the rhythm of working. It's just hard because usually they go to school from 8 to 3, and then if they have a job that's 8 to 5, or if they have to come in earlier, or if they stay a little bit later, depending on hours, it does get kind of hectic for them. It is a big change since it is Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day. Or if, of course, since they are still young, there's still summer camps that they need to go to, summer school. So we try and cater around that schedule. And of course, we tell them that, hey, it is a job, it is full-time, it's just like working a real job, because it is a real job. It gets their foot in the door, as well as that experience.
Do they ever talk about experiencing a culture shock? I mean, they might have had a life where they go to school and then come home and then spent hours on a computer surfing the web or something, or playing a game or something like that, and all of a sudden now they're out there with with a shovel or a rake or something
Yeah.
and sweating their tails off for the afternoon. I mean, do you get experiences like that? Do they share those where you detected, you just opened somebody's eyes to the real world of work?
Definitely. I know we do have some that come in and they just look dog tired, just coming in there, tongue hanging out, that they didn't expect to work as hard as they thought they had to.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, thinking about it, in earlier years, they probably did more work than what they're doing now. So there's a lot of different technology that they can use other than what they pretty much use their bare hands. And of course, that's just something that they try and get used to. If they can't, then of course there's always the next year they can try something else. So like with anybody, you can have your career, but if they do get tired of it, they can always change their minds, either if they can go back to school or just try something new. So they don't have to stick with just one place every summer. They can change their mind. And of course, we do have the career assessment as well with our program. So we kind of tell them, hey, if you want to go, and if they score high on maybe the healthcare field, we'll say, well, since you are young, you can't really handle patients right now, but get your foot in the door. Maybe we can go ahead, see if they can let you file paperwork or something entry level, so that you can know that you do have to work your way up and you just can't toss yourself into a job, because there's a lot of learning you have to know before you can even start a real job.
Right. For our listeners who might have been hearing some very strong wind noise, that's courtesy of Mother Nature and the design of their front studio window here. Now, you mentioned a couple of things that might fall under an orientation program. So do you get them all together or individually, and give them an idea of what's expected of them, and perhaps some work ethic sort of things? Is that part of what you all teach?
Yeah, the Summer Youth, we do an orientation every year. It's what to expect, what paperwork we do need throughout, like timesheets, and of course our counselors. They're usually there, but we're starting a little earlier this year, so they won't meet them until later on. And of course, with the orientation, we do throw in some ethics and other information that we believe they do need. And then, of course, we'll always meet again with our students just to kind of get them an idea of what to expect even outside the workforce. So it's not only orientation to what they expect in the work field, but also pretty much life skills that they will need to know.
You mentioned ethics there. What kind of things do you share with them?
Ethics, of course, being in the work field, depending on where you're working, of course, even with if you're in maintenance or just something you never believe, you'll pick up a phone, just knowing that pretty much phone etiquette, also meeting people who are higher up, like administration, and even the chief. If our kids were to go and meet them, we need to know that, just to greet them formally, handshake, stuff like that. And of course, to be ethical within the work site. Just don't go in, and if you have a disagreement, don't try and stand there and pretty much yell at whoever your supervisor is. Just know that there's a time and place to talk, and of course any other information that they do need to know, because nowadays it's just thinking ethically. It's kind of harder to do now because a lot of our kids don't know.
I was kind of wondering about that. Thank you to the wrecker there that just drove by. That some kids really don't get this kind of background shared by their parents. We used to say a few years back, we're seeing a generation of children having children, and they may not be getting this kind of orientation from their parents that say I did back several years ago, a few decades ago actually. And does this present a problem? And is there some way your program can deal with that or refer them to someone?
Yeah, I know with our program, we're not only with Summer Youth, we have Youth Works. That's pretty much what our program is. We do help youth who are having a hard time, even if they're parenting, pregnant, or any other kind of hardship that they are facing right now. We do have programs to help, so it's not only just the Summer Youth program. It does go year round. So if there's anybody who's having that hard time, and of course nowadays, I'm not saying, well, I guess parents are having a hard time with speaking to their kids. It's just maybe they didn't learn it earlier on, the parents didn't learn it, but I'm not going to blame them, because nowadays even with mainstream, it's just getting harder for our kids. And of course, with our office, we're more than happy to have anybody come in, even as well as adults. We have programs that can help. And of course, in the work field, it is hard to find a job now. So with our youth, even to our adults, we do help out.
Let me ask Justina here about the college level kinds of things. Now we've talked about I guess an entry level and younger people. When they reach the age group that you're working with primarily, is there a difference? Are they coming prepared, knowing what the expectations are for entering post-secondary education, as they used to say?
Yes, they're a little bit more experienced. They kind of already know what they want to do. We do sit down with them and have an orientation with them, making sure that they, whatever work site that they're going to, making sure that they are aware of that work site's policies and procedures, making sure that they're there on time, making sure that while they're on a work site, being able to take constructive criticism. I think that's a lot of what needs to be taught these days. Is time management, and whenever you're sending your own child out there, you want to be able to tell your own child or your college student, when you go to the work site, you got to be able to take constructive criticism from your supervisor and grow from it. So,
so if he says, "Don't lean on that shovel, work with it," you got to say, "Whoops, maybe I am slacking," or at least, darn it, I got caught.
Yes. So teaching our youth and our they're still our youth, our college interns, to be able to take that initiative to go above and beyond while they're on the work site. But of course, we do have some that come through have barriers, and we're able to sit down with them. If we have to refer them out to behavioral health or voc rehab, then we'll give them those resources.
Now, the Mvskoke young people that you work with, are they pretty well set in a career path at that point? Have they really chosen what they want to be, so to speak, when they grow up? Are they got it together by then, do you think?
With the past participants that I've worked with, yes. We've had some where they had to provide presentations at the end of the summer where we have a banquet with them. Did really well on the presentations, maybe just one or so. Kind of didn't know what they wanted to do, and we're able to sit down with them and kind of redirect them towards another path. But when they come through, they're pretty much got their feet set.
Are there areas that are more popular with others at this level? Have they kind of defined it fairly well and saying, well, healthcare or some business administration?
I know last year we had a few coming through for education and physical therapy also. A lot of them wanting to go back into the schools and teach, as well as health also too.
Now, for the both of you, are some of these kids still coming through with expectations that really are not real, they forget it, I'm thinking, some kid comes in, he was good in sports and say, well, I'm going to join the NFL and be a quarterback. Do you get that sort of thing still? And say, guess what? You got 75 times better chance of being a doctor than you do of getting in the NFL.
Very often we do, and we do have to sit down with them and tell them to, I don't like to tell individuals you can't reach that goal. So, but we do have to rephrase it and tell them let's set some realistic goals, that are reachable. So
yeah, at 140 pounds, you are not going to be a linebacker for the blank team. Now, at this stage, you're I presume you're both looking for students and have opened the doors
Yes.
for recruitment. Now, I want to make sure that people understand, what you have to have when you walk in the door. What sort of information must you provide? This sort of thing. So let's start with the college program.
Okay, for the College Work Experience Program, we'll be taking applications January 16th to March 31st. We do have applications there in the office, and we'll be getting the application uploaded on the Creek Nation's web or on the Employment Training webpage on the Creek Nation website. Basically, the documents that you'll have is like your basic identification card, Social Security card, tribal ID, your driver's license, proof of residence, household income, and then we'll need like a resume, 2-page essay, and letters from maybe professional recommendations like instructors. But all that is listed on the application. So once they get the application, all the documents needed will be listed there.
And for the younger program?
With the Summer Youth Program, we are taking applications. We started it in December on the 1st, and we will continue to take them until March 31st, 2017. And with that, the application is online. It's on our Employment and Training website as well. Also, if they could bring in their tribal citizenship card, photo ID, social security cards, proof of income, transcripts from their high school, or if they're going to college, we do need that. And also, we need information if for young men 18 and older, selective service, and of course, information if such as a resume, and we do need the career assessment if they are new participants. Returning, the list is shorter, in which we're more than happy to help them out if they were to come in office.
Let me ask you both again, what do you do to kind of keep an eye on them when they're on the job? Some sort of monitoring, or is there an evaluation? From time to time, reporters hear different things in the wind, no pun intended today, but that a particular student or somebody just wasn't getting the job done and spending time playing on their computer, not quite living up to the expectations. So, do you kind of keep an eye on that sort of thing, and what sort of are there consequences?
With ours, we do rely on the supervisors to kind of keep us updated if anything were to go on, if they weren't showing up to work. And of course, we do have our counselors for Summer Youth. They go and check on the work sites, deliver checks, and of course they kind of keep up with all the kids. I even have counselors that come back and ask about their kids that were over maybe a couple years ago, and still wondering what they're doing, and just keeping an eye on them even after the program. So we do have that available for them.
Also like to add, we're still taking worksite applications, so if you want to take an opportunity to help our youth gain work experience this summer, we'll be taking worksite applications till January 31st, and you can contact our office for an application.
Okay. One question related to this discussion we just had. So, in other words, you get these kids in there with an idea. This isn't free money for you to go sit around and mess around and kill time. You're expected to work and produce and then show some results.
Yes, there is, for our kids, it is a real job, so they can be terminated. So if they're not doing their job, or if of course, we'll go in there and we'll have meetings with them to see what's going on. How can we fix it? And if it's not fixable, even after we had came in and talked to them multiple times, then they likely can be terminated. And pretty much if they are, then other programs that we offer, even after Summer Youth, they won't be eligible for those. So being on a program, it does have its high sights. And of course, there is the ones that they want to work, but something could happen, and we work with them too as well. Sure. So life life is expected. So there's stuff like that. And of course there's the kids that just don't want to work. They want a paycheck and they just want to sit there. And which those are the kids that need more care to kind of show them, hey, this is a real job, and we'll just have to try again next year if you get terminated, because we're not going to relocate.
And guess what? You get out in the real world and they will fire you. If you don't
Yeah.
produce.
That's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, that's good. You can learn now while you're young, get it out of your system kind of thing. Now, that's kind of the downside that we have to deal with. What about the bright side? Like, do you either of you have examples of real success stories of someone who came in and did the work in a certain place every year and then came back and was employed as a physician's assistant or something like that? Or
No, we have one that was on the program last program. It was Grant Proctor. Was a
Success story here.
he was on the college work experience program, and he was hired at Omogie High School, so he went in and was able to get hired full-time.
And I see our board op Brooks was saying, yeah, they had a success story here.
Yeah, Austin Burwell, he worked
Shaggy.
here. Yeah, you remember Shaggy?
Shaggy.
We called him Shaggy because he looked like Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo, I guess is what it was. But Austin went on to college. He wanted to get into broadcast and went to Rose State, and I think was pursuing broadcast career. But he worked here 2 years, and he did all the artwork you see up on the chalk art up here he did, and he was on the air, and he was on our morning show, and we still run commercials with his voice on our commercials as well.
Wow.
So we were very pleased with the program, and he came back and did, like I said, 2 years here at the radio station. So we tout the success of the program for sure.
Well, he got a taste of deadlines and pressure and the need to produce them and that sort of thing.
Exactly. So wanted to just add that.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you brought that
Thank
up,
you.
Brooks. Okay, well, let me see here. What else have we got to do? Now, if someone is interested, now you've begun recruiting, so for each program, let's run over those requirements individually and make sure people know what we got here and how they can become involved.
For the 2017 College Work Experience Program, it's an internship program for college juniors, seniors, and graduate students. You must be a citizen of the Mvskoke Creek Nation and live and have a permanent residence within our boundaries. And then basically just call our office for an application. It will be uploaded to our employment and training webpage, and the number's 918-732-7773.
Okay.
And for our Mvskoke Creek Nation Summer Youth Program for the 2017 year, the eligibility is youth ages 16 to 21 and must be 16 years old, cannot be over 22 before the first day of work, must be an enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe. Income guidelines do apply to all citizens and non-Creek citizens, must reside within Mvskoke Creek Nation boundaries. Applications are accepted online on our employment and training website, and also the deadline for it, we did accept applications on December 1st through March 31st, 2017, and you can contact our employment and training office at 918-732-7773.
Okay. Oh, by the way, Brooks, I hope in your training here of Shaggy that he got a chance to take his vow of poverty.
Well, I don't know about all that, but probably so.
Yeah, especially in public radio where I came from. Okay, well, we'd like to thank Victoria Ross and Justina McBee for coming down to talk about the youth employment opportunities, and I say that plural, 2 different levels there, and for a chance for our young people to get a real taste of the work world in an environment that is very supportive and gives us some cultural pride. We're proud of these kids when they get through that and make something of themselves in the world. I mean, before I let you go, do either of you have a soft spot where you've seen something happen and it just kind of really struck you? It's like, that kid made it.
I know we had one on the program during the 2016 program year. He actually interned at our AG's office. Was very, his presentation that he did was very good. He was just, he's really going to go somewhere. Of course, all of them are, but he just kind of stuck out. I know one moment that kind of stuck out also too during last year was when we took them on the Culture Day trip, which we were able to work with David Proctor and Mr. Brown from Duck Creek, and they took the interns out there, talked about the history, and they also took us to Council Oak. But seeing all the Micos there together to be able to talk to our interns, that was a very heartfelt moment there too.
Start tugging at my heart. Once again, thank you so much for coming in, and we wish you success in recruiting our young people to go to work. Anything else you care to add? Nope.
Not at this moment.
Yeah, just contact our office and we'll get you an application.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We're going to take a short pause here, and we'll be back with Charley Harley from the Bureau of Indian Affairs firefighting squad here in Okmulgee. We'll talk about the program they've got, his crew, the weather we've gotten having to deal with, and believe it or not, this is the middle of firefighting season, folks. So stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
One Fire Casino in Okmulgee offers Ladies' Day every Monday with $5 match play, VIP days for seniors on Tuesdays, lunchtime match plays on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and several other great drawings and prizes throughout the weekend. Don't forget to take advantage of spinning the wheel on Sundays to win up to $5,000 cash. Be sure to check out the daily meal specials at Council Oak Cafe. There are exciting monthly giveaways with extravagant prizes. Come and play at One Fire Casino, where it really is okay to play with fire.
We'd like to welcome Mr. Charles, is it Charles or Charlie? What's more comfortable?
Charlie.
Charley Harley. And what's your title there with the firefighting crew?
I am the wildfire prevention technician for the Okmulgee agency.
Okay. We have spoken with you in the past and about the team there and its role in our community here. You're on the tribal campus, but you're not part of the tribe, so to speak?
No, we fall under the Department of Interior. We're a federal agency. We're located on tribal grounds, but we're not part of the Creek Nation entity itself.
Yeah, so there's a mandatory meeting. You don't have to go.
No.
All right, now, let's get a quick capsule of what your team is and what it does and the area it covers.
Basically, our agency, there are 2 full-time staff members, and the personnel we call in are administratively determined emergency hires, which are called when needed. And we usually have a staff of about 10 of those on hand. But there's, like I said, that's just called when needed. Whenever there's a fire in the area of Creek Nation jurisdiction, we're out there to protect all tribal and tribal lands and trust properties, which are
go ahead.
Trust properties are individual properties, or restricted properties are individual properties. Trust properties are pretty much tribal properties.
Okay, so if there's a fire on my section of land down in Bristow, you guys could come down and give me a hand.
Yes, sir, and we can also do controlled burn on it if you'd like, if it is still in restriction.
I might have to look at that at some point. I'll wait till the oil crew cleans up first. we don't want any added flagrant problems there. The job I've seen firsthand is one that's quite strenuous. Your team. They're the guys on the front lines. They're down close to the fire. They're down there with their tools, the Pulaskis, half hoe, half axe, and have to be in incredible physical shape to endure in this kind of thing. So, let's have you describe it. What is the job of a firefighter? What are their duties?
The job of the firefighter here in Oklahoma, we're basically an initial attack crew, which is we're first on scene pretty much and going head to head with the fire, trying to knock it down before it causes any great damage out there.
And I know there is like an educational process that goes on before someone hits the field, like how to work a fire that's going up a hillside, or here I guess it would be going across a field, things like this?
Yeah, here in Oklahoma, the fields are so flashy that accident can happen at any time. You know, you can get caught in front of it and be kind of painful.
And I understand most people don't know how fast a fire can move.
No, they really don't. They think, you know, that it's okay there for a second, but with the winds that we have here in Oklahoma, they switch and just pick up speed, and the average is probably 10 to 12 miles an hour, and that's pretty light. But in the flashy fields that we have, and this time of year when the fields are all dormant, everything is just volatile. You know, the fires just get up and run.
And what's that fuel situation out there like?
Right now, the fields are dry. We've been in a drought. The little snow we had here in the past couple weeks, or this past weekend, didn't really do much.
And when we say fuels, let's kind of define that. It's like the flat open field where the grass is dead.
It's all the grass, all the dry grass, all the dead leaves, all the
brush,
dead timber, brush, anything that can burn, really. And, you know, it's not really considered a fuel, but trash is a fuel. And
you're right. And there's unfortunately a lot of it out there.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where a lot of our fires come from, you know, just carelessness from burning trash.
I've seen a few situations where someone had cleared some land and was burning it off and had a pile of dead limbs and tree trunks and things like that. Yeah, darn, I forgot what the term was. Anyway, it's stuff they wanted to get rid of by burning it, a big pile of it. Now, that always looks to me like a dangerous situation. Now, is that always the case? Or
not always. The best time to burn brush is during the springtime.
Thank you.
When the grass is green, you know, there's a lot of moisture in the grass and the trees, so nothing's really dehydrated or dried out that where it will become a flashy fuel. But with that, also, that on tribal and trust properties, there is a burn permit in place that where you must come and get a burn permit to do that, or you will be fined and ticketed.
Okay, and what does that permit ask you? I mean, what sort of information do you have to provide?
It just asks you your location, who's doing it, if this is your property that you're doing it on, and it also includes leasees too, if you have your property leased to somebody. But it gives us the opportunity to know that we're not running on a wildfire. It is a controlled environment.
Controlled environment.
Yeah.
You know, now you mentioned wildfire. Now I would know that a wildfire does not respect any boundaries, any property lines or jurisdictions and that sort of thing. So if, say, someone over in Morris was trying to battle a fire there and their crew there couldn't handle it, do they call you in? Do you share resources?
Yes, we do that, but our main objective is we're responsible for tribal and trust properties. We can assist them, but if we have a fire that's threatening our properties, we have to disengage and go engage on our properties.
Well, I presume there's some trust land over there, but say if, you know, the complex was burning, then you'd come back and help this crew here.
Yes.
Yeah, the situation here is, as I said earlier, we're in the middle. When I talked to you earlier, we were in the middle of the fire season. Is that?
Yes, during the fall season, when the fuels and the leaves and the grass starts to go dormant, that's when fire season for us typically starts to pick up. And we've been in fire since about September, I guess. For the total of 2016, we responded to 101 fires.
My gosh, and those are
from January of 2016 to December of 2016.
And they're not the huge multi-county kind of fires, but they're more smaller and contained.
They're more isolated, contained. The average probably 500 acres. The biggest one we had last year was over 21,000 acres. It started from I-40 and Highway 75 and ended up out here at Okmulgee Lake.
Oh my gosh!
And that joined with another fire that was sparked by some power lines, and they grew even bigger.
I remember working with the power company. We would have that situation a couple times a year where the lines would slap together and short and spark and drop and fall. And next thing you know, we got a big chunk of Alaska on fire. Now, does that often happen here in Oklahoma, or is there
Typically, no. The power lines are pretty good, but occasionally we'll get one.
Now, while we're talking there, what is the cause that you guys see the most for fires?
Most is just unattended brush pile burning, unattended trash burning, burning on in conditions that aren't qualified for that burning.
So like today would be a dumb time to do that.
Yes, sir. But sometimes we do run into those individuals that say, well, it burns faster when you do it like this.
Yeah.
On a day like today.
Or you can't tell me what to do, it's my land. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, you want it all in ash? Sure, well, you got it. Now, the brush fires have to be attended. I mean, if you're going to do a controlled burn, you got to be on site. You have to be able to...
Yes, sir. You have to have your suppression apparatus with you, some type of suppression equipment, buckets of water, gallons of water, barrels of water, some kind of tools to help keep the fire contained in this little perimeter.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully it'll stay.
Yes, and hopefully it stays there. And enough people to help contain it.
And you mentioned, trash fires. Now, what comes to mind is somebody with a burn barrel in their backyard, and for some reason it might get knocked over, or else the wind just whips it up and throws it out into the brush. Do people have to stick around when those fires are burning?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's really good too, because if you leave it, we've showed up to a couple of fires, and I just went inside for a minute to get a drink of water, and I came out and it was like this. So, but most of them are they're not covered. What needs to be done is have like some type of screen covering to cover the barrel to keep the embers in instead of popping out and blowing out all over the place. I've burned trash before, and papers and stuff blow out of there. Get in the grass next to it and adjacent fuels and just start a fire. But so it's always good to contain your stuff.
Now, most of those are around a home. They're in somebody's backyard or near a barn or something like that. And I'd seen situations where those embers did blow out and then came down on somebody's roof. And if their roofing materials weren't fire resistant, then they had a problem. And the worst we saw, of course, were the cedar shakes, the shingles, that wooden roof. If you got that kind of roof, you run a higher potential.
Yes, sir. The cedar, I tell everybody that our houses, the people that houses in the rural communities, they've been built there for maybe 20, 30 years ago. So if you set a brush pile or a pile of wood out in the sun for 20, 30 years, it's going to become dry and volatile, just easily combustible. And you think of that as your house being sitting there and heating over the years, it's pretty dry. And
Now, while we're on this subject, are there tips and some ideas that people might want to take with them when they're conducting a burn near their home or their property or whatever else?
Yes, there's a lot of factors that go into that, just like weather and position of the fire and, your home and what needs to be done. We've put together a website in the past year or two that's located on the Creek Nation website under BIA Fire Management. If you go to that link, it gives you all kinds of information on how to protect your home from fires. It goes under FireWise and Ready, Set, Go. There's all kinds of information there to look at.
Now, give me a couple of examples there. Like, first of all, don't build it upwind from your home or something like that.
Yeah, let's say you have a hay barn. You don't want to build a trash fire right in front of your hay barn with the doors open, with the wind blowing embers directly into your hay barn. Believe it or not, that has happened.
Oh, my gosh. It's a pretty expensive lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Plus, you might lose your livestock, too.
And your homes, if you live in a wooded area, the leaf litter gathers up on top of the roof and in the gutters. And if you're burning any kind of material out there and the ember gets in the gutters, it could spark a flame later on when you think that your fire is out.
Mm-hmm. One of the things we did in the educational process when I worked with a group up north was, pamphlets and information about what you should do around your home, like how far distant should it be clear of fire and combustibles, like don't put your wood pile next to your porch or things like that. So can you maybe review some of that for us?
Yeah, the best distance to keep your wood away from your home is probably about 30 feet, 20 feet minimum. But just keep it away from your home, because what you're doing is just like building a fire. You're stacking a lot of fuel against your home, which the fuel out there is already cured and dried. That it will, if an ember gets in it will cause a lot of heat. Mm-hmm. And with that heat, it's kind of hard to put out because it's already into your house at that time.
Right.
Another safe, they say 30 feet around the house so that vehicles and fire apparatus, fire equipment, emergency equipment can get in there and suppress the fire without having to trip over or run over anything, cause damage to their vehicles.
Right, or get it stuck,
Yes.
can't get it out.
Yeah, safety is the main concern out there with all firefighters.
Now, yeah, oh, by the way, now, when say somebody's home does get caught in a fire, wildfire, do you have to deal with another crew for a structure fire versus the wildfire?
Yes, that would be your local fire department in your area. We are strictly wildfire. We don't have the equipment to fight structural fires. They have the big suits, and that's something we don't have.
And that's pretty much
breathing
required.
apparatus.
Now, that's an interesting question. Is that required to fight a house fire? A heavy suit and a helmet and respirators?
Your respirators, yes. For us, it's not. I mean, we're not even in that realm right there. So.
Right, had those little Nomex shirts only good for a little bit. Let me ask you personally: you ever been in a situation where you or a crew were caught in a life-threatening situation? I know that's part of the training, but is it ever?
It's part of the training, and no, we try not to put ourselves in that situation. Like I said, safety is always first, and we'll go all over the safety aspects before we even engage on a fire and determine our escape routes, our safety zones. If we have to deploy our fire shelters, that's also determined. After all that's completed, then we will engage on a fire.
Now, you mentioned the fire shelters. That's something I had to carry when I was up there. Never deployed it, thankfully. But it sort of put the thought in my mind, this is a last ditch effort. I mean, this is if you got nothing else to do, you got this thing, and you could end up in a real bad situation even with that shelter. It's not 100%.
Yeah, it's not 100%. It is a last chance at whatever you have out there, though, to try to save your life. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't.
Yeah, and we've had a situation fairly recently where...
Yeah, a couple of years ago we had 19 firefighters.
And they weren't able, even with the deployment, they were fatalities. While we're listening to the wind whistle down our wind tunnel here, how are we doing weather-wise right now? We've got clear blue skies, but we've got this ferocious wind. It's a fire danger high. I noticed the little Smokey the Bear signs, kind of thing.
Yeah, those are. I've got several of those out there. Those are supposed to be used to determine the fire danger in your area. But today is strictly a very high fire danger day. The winds are supposed to be up to 30 miles an hour. The relative humidity, which affects the fire activity, will drop low into the 30s. And once it gets below 30s with the wind, it's pretty volatile.
Now, we've heard news reports of fires going on already in Oklahoma. Now, how many times have your crews been called out?
To this date, we've responded to 3 fires that affected us. But we've seen several fires out there that luckily the fuels were still kind of moist and damp, that the local fire departments were able to suppress them and contain them on their own. Right.
Now, one of the locations we heard was Manford. And a few years back, that whole area just got hit.
Yes, sir. Back in 2012, that area was pretty dry. The fuels and the drought conditions were very high. The fire there destroyed 60,000 acres. Over 300 homes were destroyed. No lives lost, though, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah, we saw pictures of some homes going up in flames, and somebody's life story. It was just burned away, and this kind of thing. Are you keeping your eyes on that situation, or anything else that may be an affair where you're called out, and you need to go out and...
Yeah, we have a lot of high fire areas in our jurisdiction that we respond to or try to keep an eye on at this time of year, because in those areas there's no roads to contain it, and it's just pretty much open area, thousands of acres that could burn. And in those areas, each year somebody's moving in and putting a home out there, and we have no idea who they are because, we're not census people, we're just firefighters.
Now, when you have to cross an open section like that, do you have the equipment to do that? I mean, will your trucks handle, driving over several pastures and wooded areas and this kind of thing?
Well, being wildland firefighters, most of our stuff is done on foot. So, we'll find a safe part to enter, then just go from there.
Which means if that wind shifted, you better be ready to hightail it out of there.
We always try to carry the black with us. We'll anchor off on a safe area like a road or a pond or a lake, and just start from there and suppress the fire. And if the fire or the wind should shift, something that's already burned is not going to burn again. So our safety zone is right there with us at all times.
And you keep spotters in place to kind of monitor?
Yes, lookouts. There's everybody on the crew is a safety officer. We're all out there for each other.
Now, I presume radios are part of what you do, and communications is critical.
Yes, communications is a must. We're always in contact with some person, the incident commander of the fire, or engine personnel, or somebody that's able to give us a hand when it kind of gets out of hand.
Right. Now, if you've got a crew deployed out in the wooded area somewhere, say south of here, who calls the shots? Is it the guy on the supervisor on location, or does he have to ask somebody a little higher up? Well, I got to pull this team out. I mean, we're losing it. This kind of.
Our hand crew, our 5-man squads or 10-man squads, they're equipped with either a incident commander type 5 or a type 4, so they're able to give direction until they feel uncomfortable, which then they can pass on to incident commander type 3, and we have a couple of those in our area also that are usually en route to that area when something happens.
Okay, and the folks on site, if things really get out of hand, can pull out and retreat?
Yes, sir. We'll pull out and reassess and then engage again.
Okay, and figure out another strategy there. And now in the little time we had before the show, we kind of chatted about the job. If someone was interested in becoming a member of your team, what are the requirements?
It used to be real easy to become a wildland firefighter before in the past, but here recently, due to the PAC test, the strenuous activity of the PAC test, there have been multiple cases of individuals having heart attacks out there. So our physical has become more in depth, and you must first pass that physical first, which includes high blood pressure testing, heart EKG monitoring, lung capacity, breathing.
Now, when you said PAC test, maybe you could explain that.
The PAC test is something all in itself. Everybody thinks it's a walk in the park, 3 miles, and with carrying 45 pounds. But when you're under a time limit, it's pretty rough.
No, yeah.
You'll have muscles hurting that you didn't feel before.
And so you've got to walk this distance within the prescribed time carrying this load, right?
Yes, sir.
And there are more strenuous levels as you go up?
Yeah, there's a light, moderate, and arduous. So the activities we perform, we're under the arduous level, so we must carry 45 pounds, a minimum of 45 pounds, in under 45 minutes, 3 miles.
So in other words, folks, it's like carrying a sack of potatoes on your back for
45 minutes.
Yeah, and get to Morris in 45 minutes. No, thanks. I took the light test, and that was okay. And you didn't have to carry any weight because I was one of the guys in the rear with the gear, so I didn't have to worry about that.
We've had some individuals doing their PAC test this morning. They're out there right now.
Ooh.
So hopefully they'll pass it.
Hopefully they'll get a little tailwind to help them out. That's we sit and laugh about it now because we probably it's behind us. We've been through it. I went through the light one, as I said, and I was glad that I wasn't doing anything heavier. The weather forecast is typical Oklahoma. It's up and down, winter, summer, all in the same season. Today we're enjoying a gorgeous day, and it's going to be actually breaking the 70s, I believe.
Yes.
And then towards the end of the week, it's going to get nasty and wet and rainy and icy. So as we look at the next week or so, what does that make you think about in terms of what you need to do?
Well, if we get the freezing rain, we'll shut down and just rehab our vehicles and our equipment and make sure everything's ready to go for Monday or Tuesday when the weather's 90 or 80 degrees again, And that'll give our guys time to get down and rest up and take care of their personal business. then be ready for a recall whenever the time arises again.
Now let me go back. We were kind of laughing and joking a little bit about the pack test and the results you have to have, but that's there for a reason. You don't want anybody out on the fire line that's going to keel over, because then you've got a bigger problem.
Yes, when you have one person go down on the fire line for just a basic injury like a sprained ankle or just a cut or abrasions or something like that, it takes 2 people off the crew. So you're down 3 personnel already. And the aspects of a fatality, the whole crew goes down. So you're down 20 people.
Is that for investigation, or is it because of danger? So
it's just when you're out on a fire, you're in the woods, basically, way far from any kind of emergency vehicle that has access to you. So you have to carry that individual out. And people get pretty heavy when they're
worse than that 50-pound, that 45-pound test there. Now, and of course, as we all understand, in case of a heart attack or something like that, time is critical.
Yes, sir.
And you've got to get that assistance as fast as you can. And if you're down in a deep gully somewhere and it's a nice nasty climb up to the front, you've got to take all those people and get that person out, and chances are not real good, right?
Yeah, and depending on the injury also, you have to be careful with handling that individual and getting them to safety.
Yeah, if they've got a spinal injury, then you got complications there. The job is attractive to many Native Americans, and I presume you've worked with teams from other tribes and reservations from around the nation, and a lot of Indian men and women. Let me emphasize that. Are parts of these squads, and they do it because it's part of a major part of their income for the year. And so when someone is accepted and deployed, what sort of return do they see? I mean, what do they make per hour?
Last I checked, the starting was like $17.80 an hour. As a basic firefighter. You have different levels from there on, from the basic that you can go into, and it's all what you make of it, what all you want to do out there.
Right, and
the training for that is 40 hours, approximately 30 hours in class, and 1 day of field testing, then the final test, final exam itself.
Okay, so it's not a walk in the park to become a member of this team, and the rewards actually can be pretty good, but there is a situation where you're actually putting your tail on the line if you're,
Yeah, and we don't respond to actually all wildfires. FEMA calls us in to assist with other activities such as hurricane, or back in 2002, we all responded to the shuttle recovery.
Oh my gosh. It's something that you can't train for?
No, it's just...
Now, if someone were interested in becoming a part of your team, or interested in protections of their homes, or needed your help, how do they get in touch with you?
The best thing to do is just go to our website, the BIA Fire Management, on the Creek Nation website, and just follow all the information there. There's phone numbers listed, contact information for any kind of question you have. My phone number is also listed there, so if you just want to give me a call and have some questions, I'll answer them personally.
All right, Charlie, let me thank you so much for providing this information, and hopefully we've got listeners out there paying attention, and if you're thinking about a slash burn, then wait. Till next week.
Yep, wait till Saturday.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to jump right in. We've got a few announcements we wanted to pass on to you real quick in a minute or so we have left. First of all, there's a meeting on the 19th at the All Souls Unitarian Church. Tulsa stands with Standing Rock, and Dennis Banks, founder of AIM, will be talking about the efforts going on up there, and you can ask him some questions, of course, if you're interested. And that's January 19th from 6 to 8, All Souls Unitarian Church in Tulsa. Poverty Awareness Seminar was something I know very well. January the 25th, coming up at the Mound Building from 9:30 a.m. to 12. Resources on hand and lunch is provided. That's the Tribal TANF program, Together Advancing Native Families, 732-7985. And finally, the Tulsa Creek Indian Community Meeting is Thursday the 26th at 7 p.m. That's 8611 South Union in Tulsa. All creeks are needed and invited. Join today, bring the kids, and a youth group is available. All right, that'll do it for us here on Mvskoke Radio this week. I'm Gary Fife. Madu Mabu Hejitsgood. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Madu.